All right, let's talk about turning those conversations that go nowhere, the frustrating arguments, into moments of real, genuine connection. It really all boils down to a pretty simple shift in how you think, moving away from that need to win and toward a real desire to understand. So let's dive in. You've been there, right? We all have. You're trying to solve something or maybe just connect with somebody, and it just feels like you're talking to a brick wall. It's so draining. And honestly, a lot of the time, it feels easier to just give up. But what if there was a better way? A way to actually be heard and to really understand them too? Well, it all starts right here with your mindset. See, most of us, and we don't even realize we're doing it, we operate from what you could call a command mindset. Our goal deep down is to tell people what to do and to win the argument. But the real magic, the real change, happens when we flip that script to an inquiry mindset. That's where the goal isn't winning, it's exploring. It's about discovering the truth together. So to help you make that shift, we're going to build a toolkit piece by piece in 5 parts. First, we've got to figure out why our conversations fail in the first place. Then we'll get into a new, way more powerful mindset. From there, we'll tackle the 2 big skills, learning how to listen to really understand, and then how to speak so people can actually hear you. And finally, we'll put it all together for those really tough, high-pressure situations. Okay, first up, why do we even get stuck? Turns out our default mode, the way we naturally communicate, is often the very thing that's setting us up for failure. Before a word is even spoken, we're already up against a whole bunch of roadblocks inside our own heads. We're not just dealing with the other person, we're battling our own biases, our own emotional baggage, and of course, the 1,000,001 digital distractions. That little urge to just quickly check your phone, that can completely kill a conversation before it even gets off the ground. So, if our default mode is kind of broken, what's the fix? Well, it starts with a really powerful mental shift, and it's inspired by an ancient Greek philosopher. It's all about moving from telling to asking. This is the Socratic method, and honestly, it's a total game changer. The goal isn't to have all the answers, it's to have the right questions. You stop being the expert, the lecturer, and you become a guide. You're helping the other person, and let's be real, you're helping yourself too, to uncover what's really going on underneath. It turns a debate into a team effort. In this quote, it just nails the core idea perfectly. What Socrates was saying is that a meaningful life needs self-reflection. When we bring that idea into our conversations, it means we stop just assuming our own opinions are facts. We start looking at our own beliefs with the same curiosity we're trying to have for others. And this isn't just about asking a bunch of random questions. There's a structure to it, a flow. You start with wonder. That just means listening without jumping to conclusions. Then you reflect, which is just saying back what you heard to make sure you got it right. Only then do you move on to refine, where you can gently challenge assumptions. This cycle of listen, reflect, refine, that's what cuts through all the noise and gets you to what really matters. Now that first step in the Socratic method, wonder, is so incredibly important that we need to zoom in on it. Because you absolutely cannot ask good questions if you're not truly hearing what the other person is saying. This is what we call the art of active listening. Active listening is so much more than just staying quiet while someone else talks. Think of it like a full contact sport for your brain. You're completely focused on getting the whole message, not just the words, but the feelings, the values, all the stuff that's hiding just under the surface. And get this, a huge chunk of that message isn't even verbal. Studies show that over half, 55% of our communication comes from body language. So if you're only listening to the words, you're literally missing most of the conversation. Think about it. You see a furrowed brow, and that could mean they're confused. Crossed arms, that's a classic sign of defensiveness. Maybe they're leaning away, which shows they're uncomfortable. Their words might be saying, "Oh yeah, everything's fine," but their body could be screaming a totally different story. These signals are vital clues to what's really going on. So here's your playbook for how to do it. First, pay full attention. I mean it, put the phone away. Second, withhold judgment. Just be open. Then, reflect and validate. A simple little phrase like, "Okay, so it sounds like you're feeling really frustrated about this," can completely change the tone of a conversation. It's only after you've done all that, that's when you can even think about sharing your own perspective. Okay, so we've got listening covered. Now let's flip to the other side of the coin. How do you speak in a way that people can actually hear you, especially when you have to say something difficult? Look at the difference here. The ineffective way is an attack on their character. You're always late. It's a generalization, and it just guarantees they're going to get defensive. But the constructive way? It focuses on a specific, observable behavior and then opens a door with a question. It's an invitation to solve a problem with them, not a declaration of war against them. But what happens when the problem isn't direct anger, but that really frustrating, hard to pin down thing we call passive aggression? For that, there's a really specific technique called benign confrontation. It's basically a structured way to gently call out the hidden anger and bring it into the open. This framework is incredibly useful. First, you spot the pattern. Then, and this is so important, you refuse to play the game. You don't get passive-aggressive back. Instead, you gently name the anger you think is there. You might say something like, "Hey, I've noticed the reports have been late a few times, and I'm just wondering if you're upset with me about something." Now, they will almost always deny it at first. Your job is to stay calm and just accept that. The goal isn't to win the argument right then, it's to open the door for them to be more direct with you later on. Okay, so we have the Socratic mindset, we have our active listening skills, and we have constructive ways to speak. How in the world do we pull all of this together when the stakes are high and emotions are running hot? When you're heading into one of those conversations, this right here is your anchor. Your number one priority has to be the relationship, not winning the point. You have to stay focused on the issue at hand, not drag up stuff from 3 years ago. Use those listening skills to hear the feeling behind the words. And at the end of the day, you have to be willing to forgive and know when it's okay to just agree to disagree. So let's wrap this all up. If you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. Powerful communication isn't about being right. It's about shifting your entire mindset to one of genuine curiosity. It's using questions to explore, not just to trap someone. It's listening to understand, dealing with the hidden feelings, and always, always focusing on the behavior, not the person. And that really brings us to the final and most important question. Knowing all this stuff is great, but taking action is what actually creates change. So think about it. What's one conversation you have coming up this week where you can try just one of these tools? How will you approach it differently? Because that one small shift, that's where the real transformation begins.